popped right up into first position Friday, so thank you.
Any football fans here? Got a few, just a few. I think it's the greatest game ever devised, personally. I want to talk a little bit about why. I know it's not. It's a bunch of brutes banging into each other, isn't it? But we do have some fans. Do we have any CSU fans here? Only one? Two? What, are you kidding me? How about CU fans? Anybody Denver fans? Any Pittsburgh fans? I can't even use my funny line. I had a funny line that was going along with this. Nobody's fans, so I can't. Anyhow, for those of you who are football fans and those that aren't, it's quite an emotional game. You can be up and down really quickly. Your team could be on the goal line, about to win, fumble the ball, the other guys grab it, and they go to the other side, and you just lost. And just like that. Miami Hurricanes lost a championship game back in 1984, just like that. It was a 6-second play. It was an amazing thing, turn of events. And most people think that football is just a brutish, stupid game. A lot of you guys, I shouldn't say most, that was the wrong word. But it actually, and actually there's some truth to that. My favorite player was Larry Csonka. Not many people probably remember Larry Csonka. You might remember Larry Csonka. But he was one of the toughest running backs there ever was for the Miami Dolphins. I was a little guy, so I was quite impressionable. Larry was the kind of guy that when they had to get 2 yards, they gave him the ball, and he was going through no matter what. Well, the other team knew that too, but it didn't really matter because he was coming through. That was his attitude. So when they would hike the ball and hand it to Larry, Larry would go through there and would be slamming and fighting and doing everything he had to, and he'd get to the other side. Back in those days, face masks weren't that important. Larry just had a little skinny face mask. He came through that line one time, and his nose was on the side of his face instead of straight in front. He went to the sidelines, they straightened it out, and he ran back in, and he played the rest of the game. He was one tough SOB. It's kind of a guy thing, I think. You know, guys do that. When I was a kid, we loved playing football. I'm not a big guy, never was. And we used to go out in the schoolyard and play kill the man with the ball. Anybody know what kill the man with the ball was? Whoever's got the ball, the guys are out to kill you. And the big guys, they did take advantage, didn't they, Michael? You probably were one of them. They slam you hard. But you know what's cool? You know what it sounds like when you grab a big guy around his legs? They go down to the ground like a tree. Whoa! You get even. Then you end up going arm in arm back to class. You love each other because you did that. It's a really cool thing. But it's really not such just a brutal game. Actually, they're working very hard to make it safer every day, unfortunately. Because nobody wants to be hurt. We certainly want our opponent's player to come back into the game tomorrow. But one of the things that you have to admire about football is it really is a chess game. If you get to know the game, it's a chess game. You got 11 guys on this side, and you got 11 guys on this side. These guys are trying to advance the ball, these guys are trying to stop you. And every player, every position has something to do, even if they're not part of the play. You see, part of it is trickery. You know, this guy might run over here, getting the defense all running over here, thinking that he's the one that's going to have the ball, and they really run the play that way. It's something that every player has to sell. And non-team players, the problem with them is they don't always sell it. They'll go, yeah, right, I got the ball, and the defense got this, and they stop the play. You just, not being a team player, you just stop the play. The skills of this game is really fantastic, and you have to ask yourself, well, how hard is it to catch a football? Well, I got news for you. If you're trying to catch a football and evade the guy who's trying to stop you from catching the football, while the guy here is about to tackle you, you've got to focus on that ball and catch it and then deal with this guy. So you have to take it one step at a time. You didn't just some dummy catching the football. Maybe some of them, but the toughest position is by far the captains on the team. On the offense, it's the quarterback. And last night, Peyton Manning put on a clinic. If you're not a football fan, you probably didn't see it. But that guy did a phenomenal job. His experience comes through. What people don't realize about football is the captains, there's one on the defense as well, actually spend a lot of time reading or watching video of what's going on. Not just what the guy does, but how he moves. Because sometimes these guys cheat up. They'll come up and they say, I'm going to come in and I'm going to get you. But if you look at his body language, you can see, no, he's really not. He's just cheating up and fooling you. And he actually pulls out at the last minute. So Peyton Manning is a genius. He can read that body language. He can read the whole thing. And you watched him last night. He came under center, and he's ready to take the ball, and they cheated up, and he knew they weren't kidding. And he backed up, and he went, whoa, 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 guys, ho! We got to do something else. This isn't going to work. And he called a different play. And every guy on the team has to change what he was going to do literally seconds ago, just like that. So you can run a different play. It's quite a chess match. Far more complicated than I can get into in a speech. I think the thing that I love the most about football is the way that it parallels business. It parallels life. Because if you think about life, well, maybe it's not quite so brutal. Or maybe it is. Anybody been devastated by this economy? Anybody been through a natural disaster? Lost a loved one? Life can be kind of tough too, right? But in life or in business, you always have to have good communications like Peyton Manning did. You got to have skills. You got to have some leadership. You got to have teamwork. You're not going to get very far without a team. And I just lost my place. Oh, in competition. Competition, I used to think it was win or lose. It's not win or lose. It's about growth. In every play,